God. Hi, this is SAP APO trainer from UPLARS. Till now I covered the configuration parts in the configuration part of SAP APO DP end-to-end implementation. Among this APO DP implementation, I covered MPOS and planning gear created, storage and time bucket created, master forecast profiles, defined design planning book, macros, integrated planning. The pending op- topics are proportional factors, InfoCube created, past S&P. InfoCube creator I will discuss at the time of I start the session recording for the BW. At the time I will cover this InfoCube created. Today I am going to start to discuss about the proportional factors. Okay, proportional factors. Come to your topics. Proportional factors. See, proportional factors we can call it as aggregation or disaggregation. Proportional factors are aggregation or disaggregation. Come to the general term. Aggregation means Windows or MSDC connect SAN APU. See here aggregation means, let me show into that is nothing but total value. Total value. So let me show into the then you get the clear idea about it. Okay. If you see here in this, consider the forecast key figure. The forecast figure, the total value comes under the aggregated values. Whatever values at brand levels B1, B2, these are the disaggregated values. By this we can say that the total of all lower level values is called aggregation values, and the values which are going to distributed to lower levels are called the disaggregated values. Okay. uh, to achieve this in APO side, we introduce this proportional factor concept. We introduce proportional factors. In this we are going to do some configuration part. With the help of this we can do the aggregation and disaggregation. uh, let me start the configuration part of aggregation and disaggregation. Okay, first of all, um, let me add the points here. What is the configuration? What is the configuration to do the proportional factors steps? First of all, enable the manual proportional maintenance option in a planning book. Enable the manual proportional maintenance option in the planning book. That is number one. Number two is go to planning area and do the key figure settings. Next is run the calculate. Sorry. Run the calculate proportional factor. Finally, check the results. Check the results in interactive demand planning screen. Now we start the process. Here the first step is what we had to do. We had first of all we had to enable the manual proportional maintenance in the planning book. For that we had to go to the planning book of planning books. APO demand planning environment, current settings, STP 8B, select your planning book, plus month, change, just okay, select this one. Okay, here the manual proportional maintenance is not enabled. If it's not enabled, then just first check the key figures. What key figures we have? We have forecast, history, manual corrections, promotions, sales, total 6 key figures only we have. Okay, here those key figures which are in the gear mark, those are all key figures which are used in the macros. Okay, the key figures which are macro with the gear symbol, those key figures are used in the macros. Okay, totally we have 6 key figures. Now I'm enabling this option and I continue, complete. Okay, if you check now, the manual proportional is enabled. If you check the key figures, now you get the another additional key figure as a proportional factor. Okay, proportional factor key figure. I will discuss about this proportional factor key figure after completion of the configuration part of the proportional factor. Then we get one idea. Okay, here I get the proportional factor key figure. Now what I am doing for a specific data view, sorry, I'm back. Yeah, okay, what I'm doing, yes, once I off that option, it is bad. Now I'm checking STP 94. Now this proportional key figure is getting enabled here. Previously it was not there. It was not there. After selecting that option, after selecting that manual proportional maintenance option, then I get the proportional key factor key figure here. Okay. Then next, the next step is, after this one, maintain the key figure settings in the planning area. //sap apo /mstp underscore admin. Okay. Right click, change key figure settings. Okay. First of all, I remove this, then you get, okay. Here, what I'm doing is, for manual corrections, for manual corrections, what I'm doing here, I am adding, see, in this settings, we find that calculation type, key figure description, accuracy, key figure type, calculation type, disaggregation key figure, time disaggregation, key figure disaggregation, key figure for time-based disaggregation, which means that here the disaggregation was happening in two methods. One is structural based disaggregation model. Number two, time based disaggregation method. Okay. In the structural based disaggregation, let me put it here points here. They are time based disaggregation. Number two, structural based disaggregation. Time based aggregation and structural based disaggregation. Time based aggregation and structured disaggregation. Here we have two types of disaggregation. Now, how you get to identify the what is time based aggregation, time based disaggregation, and structured based disaggregation. The time based disaggregation means here, in the time based aggregation, it has to be disaggregated under month to week level. Okay, the data is available in the month level, then it's going to disaggregate in the weekly level. We consider time-based disaggregation. That is about time-based disaggregation. Come to the structure-based disaggregation. This structure-based disaggregation will happen with the product brand to product to level, and location to the customer level. In this way, the disaggregation will happen for the structure-based disaggregation. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss about the structure-based disaggregation. And if you come to the point of this is a structure-based disaggregation path. If you come to the structure-based disaggregation path, we found some parameters like S, P, A, N, I, D, E, F, which means that S means the proportional rate. Yes means S means proportional rate, which means that the disaggregation is happen equally for all lower levels. which means that if the data is available, if data is totally available, that data is going to equally distribute for all lower levels. Okay, which means that, let me show you in that thing. Retrieve 94. If you go into this, just select all the values here.
Understand day-to-day activities.
I'm sorry. Okay. Here, let me take some important key figures only, not all, which is useful for this thing. History, forecast, promo, manual correction, total forecast is more than enough for me. Okay, here what I'm doing here is first of all, here what I'm doing is brand the detail of detail is okay. For example, for a manual correction figure, I am going to add the I want to okay. If I put 3000, consider this promotional key figure instead of manual correction. Consider this ZAPI promotional key figure. If I add, if I am adding 6000 here, okay, this key figure is already assigned. That's why it's showing like that. Okay, for example, consider this manual correction key figure. If this key figure is assigned like, if I have the value as a 3000 total level, that means for all brands, I have the manual correction is 3000. If I disaggregate, it will be equal distributed 1559. Why it's going to distribute like that? Due to the main reason is going to distribute like that is, that is the main reason is in the planning area settings, mainly in the planning area settings, the planning area settings, this the calculation type here is a pro rata type, which means the proportional rate, which means that it's going to distribute equally. Okay, it's going to distribute equally. Now I would like to change this thing. Now I would like to disaggregate the values with respect to my history. Okay, why I'm preferring the with respect to history means, see, the forecasts are going to generate with respect of the history values. Whatever forecast values available for the for the particular brand level, for the particular brand level, for that level only we are going to the manual corrections. For that level only we are going to manual correction, which means that for if you disaggregate in lower level, whatever whatever forecast is available with respect to history, that much manual correction has to be available for that particular CVC. Due to this main reason, I am going to disaggregate my manual correction key figure with respect to the history value. Okay. Next, Then how we do this activity? The first thing is here. The first thing is enable the manual proportional maintenance key option in the planning book. Once I enable this manual proportional maintenance option in the planning book, proportional factor key figure enabled. Proportional factor key figure is get enabled. Proportional factor key figure enabled. Okay, the whatever values we're going to see, whatever values we able to see here, that values are already generated for the promotional key figure. For the promotional key figure, now I'm going to generate for the manual correction key figure. Okay, for that, the next step is I'm going to do the key figure settings. The manual correction, I'm selecting this based on different key figure. If I select the prorate, it will going to distribute equally, which is not reasonable. Here I'm going to disaggregate my manual correction values with respect to history values. That's why I'm going to select it here based on different key figure. In that, I'm selecting APODP DANT. Sorry, it's a simple key figure. Okay, it should be simple key figure. If it's fixable, means the changes will not be applicable for that. Okay. First of all, come out from the planning area. Just come out from the planning book, otherwise logging issue will happen. I'm just coming out from the planning book. Now I'm doing the changes and executing. Yes, now if you check the logs, everything is fine, nothing will be happen. Nothing, no errors is there. Everything is correct, everything is get corrected. Okay, just come out. And one thing, if you do any changes regarding for the planning area, now you did the changes for the key figure settings, it is better to run the consistency check. Okay, to run the consistency check, it will correct the error. If it will correct if any discrepancy, if any inconsistency, that means any errors it will be present in the planning, it will get corrected automatically. Okay, to run the consistency check, the option is just double click the planning area, go to the extras. Here consistency check, time series, give our planning area. It's already get enabled. Why once we click on the it's already get enabled. Log, repair, log, check language, master data, execute. Here all are green, which means that no issues. If any issue was there, red symbol will be shown there, and it will get corrected automatically also. If it's not corrected automatically, it will suggest the solution, what where the error was there and what the steps we have to taken. Okay, like this. The next step is calculate the proportional factor. To calculate the proportional factor, the path is APO, demand planning, environment. Click on this calculate proportional factor. Put the planning area, choose our particular planning area, execute. Planning version is active version. For which key figure? For considering which key figure, we are going to run the I'm sorry. Here we are giving the key figure. This step is to run the proportional factors, which means that the values to get distribute into the proportional factor key figure. Okay, this program, this path, that means calculate the proportional factor. Calculate the proportional factor is mainly used to generate the values. First, to clear your confusion, what I'm doing here is STP admin, not a STP94, just come out from this planning book. So what I'm doing is here I am making all the values for that particular key figure as 0. Okay, here I'm making all the values. Just a minute. Sorry, I'm back. Here, what I'm doing is, first of all, I'm making whatever values are available. I'm making all that blank. Then you got to know how the values are get generated. These are all the values for generated before. I already run the proportion factors. These values are all those values. Now I'm going to delete all this. Okay, saving that. Just come out from the planning book. Now there is no values. Now I'm going to generate the proportional factor key values simply by clicking the calculate proportional factor. Put the same planning area. Put the planning area. Execute. And in the planning version, select as an active version key figure. See, let me elaborate some small concept to you. STP94. See, if you see here, history forecast from total forecast. Okay, for all brands, I'm going to do the details. Okay, come to the point here. Here, forecast is going to generate with respect to the history values. Okay, and whatever key figures here available here, see for promotion key figure also I would like to change with respect to history key figure only. Why? Because whatever history is available to the particular what are the amount of history, I don't want the history. Okay, if its history is available, the aggregate level is okay, but for generating the forecast it should be disaggregated with respect to the history values. Like that also, it has to be disaggregated with respect to history value for remaining key figures. The remaining key figures are promotional key figure and manual correction key figure. Also, it has to be happen same like that. For history key figure, it will not be happen. Why? Because it getting data directly from the ECC to APO for the particular CVC. Okay. For forecast, it has to be disaggregated with respect to history. For promotional key figure, it has to be disaggregated with respect to the history key figure. In the same manner, for the manual proportions, manual corrections also, it has to be disaggregated. It has to be disaggregated with respect to the history. Whatever the history values are available, whatever the history values available for the particular series, that like that one is going to be disaggregated. Otherwise, if it is disaggregated with its own, it leads to a wrong value for that particular CVC. In the aggregation level, it shows right, but if you go in the disaggregation level, it is not showing the correct values. It's showing the is showing the wrong values due to not selecting the appropriate proportional factors. Okay. For that reason, what I'm doing here is, first of all, I'm running the proportional factor key figure. Here, what I'm doing, here for this manual correction, I'm not direct. I can disaggregate with respect to the history key figure, but here not. I can't able to give the history key figure directly. Okay, why? Because it directly copies the value. If I give the if I consider, for example, um, go to the key figure settings. Go to the key figure settings. The key figure settings. If I select directly the key figure history, it will copy. It will not going to disaggregate. It will copy the values of the history values. Okay, which means that it is going to copy this history values directly. Going to copy the history directly, but we don't want to copy the history values. We want we have to disaggregate the values with respect in the percentage level. That means, which means that here 4,000, here in the B1 is 3,000, and the B2 is 1,000, which means that 75% is assigned to this B1 and B2 is 25%. Like that, level, in that percentage level, the disaggregation happened to my primary correction key figure also. To do these things, SAP recommended one standard key figure, that is nothing but the proportional factor key figure. This proportional factor, to get the values into these proportional factors, we had to consider the history. Okay, we had to consider the history. To get the proportional factor values, we had to consider the history. For that reason, here I am considering the history, and I'm taking the history. You can take any period of the history. You can take any period, but here I'm taking the 6 months, which is preferable. 6 months is recommended from the SAP. It's recommended. You can take the any months. That is not an issue. Where we have a discussion with the user. If the user confirm with 6 months, okay. If they want for the 1 year, then we can do with like that. There's not an impact. And I'm going to generate proportional factor values for the all future periods. Okay. Before going to execute, it is better to come out from the planning book to avoid the locking issues, failures. Okay, another settings, also you can select the selections also. Log proportional, logs for proportional calculation, that means you get the logs for fixed proportions. Of similar in detail proportions, you have to execute for 24 months. Period EM, execute. Okay, it's completed. Then next go to check to your integrated demand planning screen. Okay, just go to the integrated demand planning screen. Load our selections. Okay, now I'm taking history, forecast, manual correction, proportional factors. These are enough for my side, and I'm going to disaggregate for all levels. Okay, here we get the proportional factor key figures. These are not the values. These are the percent. These are the percentage. These are all the percentage. Okay. What happened here? I get the all zero values. It is generated for only 6 months. Okay. Uh, execute version. Yeah, generated for 6 months, but I want, okay, I generated the proportional factor key figure for 6 months, but I need for the 24 months. Okay. Proportional factors. 1, 12, 12, 20, and is it 32 and 20, 20? Okay. Other settings, I'm going to select the log application. The selections, I have to give my selections. We can run this for this particular selection also. We can do it. Uh, okay, fine. Then execute. Is it for 24 periods? The periods, it is the period monthly. Execute. It's good. Hang. Okay. API. Okay, I'm back to my screen. Just run these things. Just come out. And go to the entity time screen. Just load. Some errors. Okay. I think it's not working properly. There is some issue, might be. Let me correct it now. Execute. Active version. History. Execute in background. Immediate check logs in the similar way also. We have to run for detailed promotions. 24. Sounds enough. Okay. Yeah. Now I get the values. Okay. Just take the required key figures. History, focus, manual correction, total focus, proportional factors. I'm going to select here. And I would like to disaggregate in the all values. Okay. If you check here, this is the history. And if you consider these two words here, this is 75%. B1 is 75% of total and 125% of the total values. If you check here also, it is like that only. 48, 12 ones are 12, 12 3 are 30. The 75% is 12, is 25%. Here, this proportional factor is considering only the percentage of this. That means how much part, how much by valuing disaggregation, how much percentage is going to consider for the particular brand level. Okay. Now, if you check here previously, it was how it working. It is equal distributing for manual correction key figure previously, but now if you check here, it disaggregates with respect to these values. See, it's a 25 percentage, it's a 75 percentage. If I make it here as 0, if I put any values, if I put the values here, here also 0. Why? The proportional factors for this, just a minute, just a minute. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, here 0. That's why the value for this period is going 0. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, like that. If we give here 2000, it's going to distribute like this: 25% and 75%. Okay, like this, like this, we can disaggregate the values with the help of proportional factors key figure value. Okay, this is the use of the proportional factor key figure. That this proportional factor key figure is mainly used to do the disaggregation by considering the history values. Directing considering history value is not possible. Here history value means here we are not taking the history values, we are considering the percentage. Whatever percentage is going to distribute for the lower levels. While taking the in the history, while getting the history from ECG to APO, at the lower level, how much history we get for the particular species, like that only the forecast, the remaining key figure is going to be disaggregated. That is only the right manner. If you disaggregate it equally, it is not a right. It is not a right manner. Okay. To do all those things, APO is going to done with the help of aggregation and disaggregation topic. Okay, this is about the proportional factor, and let me give a sample glance about it to conclude. Before to conclude, let me give a sample what it uses, how you're going to do. Let me give a brief description of these things. Okay. The thing here is the proportional factors you can calculate are aggregation and disaggregation. Proportional factors, just a minute. Yeah, okay. First of all, proportional factors, the constant proportional factor is one of the way to do the disaggregation. Okay. The constant proportional factor is constant proportional factors the constant proportional factors are derived from historical data or occasionally from past planning data. This is the important point. This means that the constant proportion are derived from the historical data or occasionally from the past planning data. Okay. I already discussed in the configuration at the time of configuration. To calculate the proportional factor, here you are going to consider the history only. But sometimes we are going to consider the past planning data only. Okay. Next point is we can do disaggregation differently for different key figures. Okay. These are all the key which are writing here. These are all the key points for the aggregation in disaggregation. Okay. Every product key thing is history key figure. As I discussed at the time of configuration part, see here the every product is a key, the key thing is a history key figure, which means that forecast is going to generate with the help of history. Then you get the forecast values. After getting forecast values, further forecast values are giving the manual promotions, manual corrections, and finally you get the forecast values. Here the forecast will get disaggregated with the help of historical values. Similarly, in that way, similarly, the promotions and manual corrections has to be added with respect to the key values. It has to be going to with respect to with respect to the history values only. Otherwise, it's not. Otherwise, that values will not be correct. If you correct the values in aggregated level, but at disaggregated level, it has to be disaggregated with respect to the history values. Okay. That's why every part getting the history key figure we are writing here. We write in here. And next, SAP given one standard key figure is called as nothing but a apodependent description is proportional factors. Okay. Like I discussed in the configuration part, SAP provided one standard key figure to get this value, to get this historical values and do the disaggregation with respect to history for the different key figures. There is nothing but a apodependent is a technical name. The description is a proportional factors. Okay. The next Next point is this is about the key points for the aggregation and disaggregation. Okay, and some important points like that. At any point of time, we can add any key figure in the planning area. Okay, at any point of time we can add the key figure in the planning area. It will not impact on the planning. But now we are using the SCM 7.07 version. In this SCM 7.0 version, if you add a key figure in the planning area at any time, it will not impact. But previously we are using SCM 5.0 SCM 5 version. At that time, if you do any changes, that means if you add any key figure, it will going to lead the change the planning area. But now it will not impact. Now we can do any change. We can add the key figure at any time. It will not impact in the planning area. But we cannot add a characteristics in the MPOS. We cannot add the characteristics, not the CVC. CVC is different, characteristics is different. CVC is the values for the already presented characteristics. Here, once the project went into the go live, here the project went to the go live. You cannot add the characteristics in the MPOS. If you add the characteristics in the MPOS, it leads to change in the CVC structure. Okay, which means it's a redesign. It's a redesign. Completely, all data will get deleted. All data will get deleted. It will impact on the planning. If you have such situation to add the characteristics immediately, if once it wants to go live, first of all, you have to take all the backups. You have to take the backups of all the data. Then we have to reinitialize the plan. We have to delete the planning area. Then we have to do the changes. Then after that, we had to reactivate the planning area again. You can get back the data, get back the data from the backup cubes to the planning area. This much process we had to be done. But normally CVCs will not be get added once it's finished to go live. Characteristics is a one-time job only. Before when to go live, we have to we have added like all the characteristics. Once it went to go live, it's not an acceptable. We cannot add any characteristics. Okay. And okay, this is our general point. Come again to proportional factors. Okay. In most of the projects, six-month history was considered to calculate proportional factor key figure values. Okay. In most of the past 6 months, history was considered to calculate the proportional factors. Proportional fact. factor key figure. Okay, and in the most of the projects we are using calculation types as P, which means that based on different key figure A, average E, average of all details not equal to 0. Okay, already we seen in the time of configuration part, means that msdp admin there is GPL. Just right click on our planning area, change the settings. Here the calculation types are there. In the most of the project we're going to use P, A, E. The 3 we are going to use. Okay, this is about that. This is about the this is about the proportional factor, but this is what I discussed is less to get to know more about this proportional factor. But configuration part, this is enough. This is more. But if you want to learn more thing about this proportional factors theoretically, you have to prefer SCM DP 220 book. Just prefer this SCM 220 DP book. In this book, we can get the complete theoretical knowledge about the proportional factors. Here, get that means what are these fields? What these fields and what is this PAE fields? What's the use of these fields? When we are going to use these fields? These are all the things we get to know in that in that book, SCM 220 DP book. In the interview purpose also, this is a very important. This proportional factors in the in the interview, they will ask one question regarding for the proportional factors. So this much important to see in proportional factor concept. Without proportional, there is we can't without proportionals. Without proportional factors, it is the if the proportional without proportional factors, we can do aggregation disaggregation in the APO DP. Okay. This is about from my end for today. Thank you.